Today we're going to talk about something new, something called homonyms. Why would I want you to learn about homonyms? To help you be stronger and smarter, and to help you with your reading and writing. A homonym is a word that has more than one meaning, but it's spelled the same and it sounds the same, like the word bark. When I say the word bark, I could be talking about the bark on a tree or the sound a dog makes. In both cases, it's the same word, it's spelled the same way, and when I say it, it sounds the same. But depending on what I'm talking about, it'll have a different meaning. So today we're going to read a story called How Much Can a Bear Bear? And they're talking about a bear, the animal, who's bare or naked. And we're trying to figure out how much can he bear or handle. And it's a book about homonyms. The author's name is Brian Cleary, so that's the guy that sat down and wrote the words. And then it's illustrated by a guy named Brian Gable. That's the guy who drew the pictures. Homonyms are words that sound and also look alike, just like the word bark. But if they have different meanings, as in, can you pass that can, Mike? So he's asking him, can he pass the can? Or, may I sail with you in May? Like the month May. And coast all along the coast. So if I'm coasting, I'm going along, and the coast is also where the land meets the water. These words are a blast if you can say them quite fast. Like, why don't we toast with some toast? A light may be light, like a small paper kite. A trunk can be found in a trunk. An inchworm or snail could scale or climb a scale. A lean or skinny cat can lean on a skunk. But punch cannot punch. And at breakfast or lunch, your jam cannot jam on a trumpet. So jam, like you put on your toast, can't play a trumpet. A bowl cannot bowl, but a roll might just roll if it's not made as flat as a crumpet. A crumpet's like a biscuit. Right there. There's a roll and a crumpet. Okay, so now that we know what a homonym is, a word that is spelled the same and sounds the same but has two different meanings, let's go back and look into the text Big Mamas by Donald Cruz that we read earlier today. As I read this book, I noticed there was a lot of words in here that had two meanings. But because reading is thinking and thinking is inferring, my brain, as I read along, is using the context clues to figure out what the meaning of the word was. Here's the first one, train. So at the beginning of the story, we learned that the boys were on the train. So the first place where I stopped was right here at the beginning. We met these children and they were on a train. Now, train could mean to teach someone to do something, like when I trained my dog Stella how to sit, or it could mean a railroad train. So I have to use the context clues in this book to figure out that they're on a train. So it's a railroad train. Let's look at the next homonym. I have the word conductor. As I'm reading along, it says that the conductor yelled to a nearly empty train. Well, a conductor could be someone who leads a band or a choir, like Miss Lundeen when you do your music programs. Or it's someone who collects train fees when people get on a train. And I can tell by what's happening in this story that it's someone who collects train fees. This is the conductor. The next word that I stopped on when I noticed that it was a homonym was room. Because a room could be a space in a building, like I'm sitting in a room right now, our classroom. Or it could be how much space or area that I have. Now, in the book, I can go back to the sentence where I found the word room. Right here, our room, my brother's and mine, and Uncle Slank's. So they're talking about an actual room or a space in a building. On this page, I found the word feet. And feet could be a unit of measurement, just like we've been learning about in math. We learned that 12 inches equals 1 foot, right? So feet could be a unit of measurement, or it could be the body part that I walk on, my feet. So in this story, they're talking about that they wash their hands, faces, and feet. Well, they're washing their body part, their foot. The next word that I saw was well. And in this story, they're talking about a place where they can get water. A well is a place where you can drop a bucket down and get water. They're not talking about how well they are feeling. And that's the second meaning of the word well. And finally, this page had a lot of words. The word fall was on this page. They were talking about not fall into the well. Do you remember? Well, I know that the word fall is also a season of the year. So I have to use the context clues to figure out that they don't want anyone to fall down or to drop down inside of the well. There's the well, see? And we don't want anyone to fall in that well. There were two words, two homonyms on this page, spent and coop. Well, spent could mean to feel tired or to use up, like money. I spent all of my money. And in this story, they were using the word spent, meaning to feel tired. And they said that right here. It said, Sunday's dinners, chicken spent its last days. On this page in the story, we have the word spent and coop. The words say in the backyard was the chicken coop, where Sunday dinner's chicken spent its last days. Well, I know the word spent could mean to feel tired or to use up, like money. Miss Ratchford usually uses up all of her money. And in this part of the story, the chicken spent its last days. That means the chicken lived there and used up its last days in its coop. And coop could mean a cage or pen for animals or a small place, like if you ever feel cooped up. On this page, the meaning of coop is a cage or pen for animals. And I can tell that by looking at the illustrations and from the context clues, or the other words on the page. I have two more homonyms for you. I was reading here on this page, and it said, next to the tool shed was the huge empty pot for making syrup from sugar cane juice. Well, I know the word cane could mean a walking stick. Like a lot of times you see old people using a walking stick or a cane. But on this page, they're talking about a long plant with a woody stem. That's where you get sugar, from a sugar cane. And the last homonym that I wanted to point out to you, boys and girls, is the word pen. And you know that a pen can be something that I write with, right? A pen. Or it can be a cage, a small cage for animals. And they were talking about the cow pen and the pig pen. So they're talking about a cage for animals. The word cow and the word pig are clues or context clues that tell me that they're talking about a cow pen and a pig pen or a cage for animals. All right, so boys and girls, today, as you're reading or any time that you read, one thing that good readers do is they can use context clues to find homonyms, words that have more than one meaning. So you need to use your context clues to figure out which meaning the author was talking about. Just like the word bark. If Miss Rochford said, I heard Stella bark, you would know that I'm talking about a dog bark and not bark that you find on a tree.